Section 33 is addition and subtraction of decimal numbers. If you were asked to add 3.245 plus 22.35. How do you do this? You only need to do this for addition and subtraction if you line up the decimals. You write down this number, what's to the left of the decimal is 3, what's to the right of the decimal is 245, plus, there's my decimal, what's to the left is 22, what's to the right is 35. And you add. You add this column of numbers, you get 5. It's only one number. You add this column of numbers, you get 9. You add this column of numbers, you get 5. To the record, if you had a carryover, you would bring it to the 3. Then you get decimal. 3 plus 2 is 5, and 2 is 2. 25.595. Just line up the decimals. If you were asked to add 32 plus 0.1254, well, what you need to understand is if there's no decimal, like in 32, you don't see a decimal, it's understood to be all the way to the right. So there's the decimal. The next number, it has a decimal. Line up the decimals. To the right of the decimals, put 1254. And add them. When you add up this column of numbers, you get 4. This column of numbers is just 5. This column of numbers is 2. Very boring columns. There's really nothing to add. The last column added up to 1. The next column is just the decimal. And then 2. And then 3. And there's the answer. 32.1254. How do you read a number like that? Okay, how about 32.827? And you're asked to add 11.984. First, make sure the decimals are lined up, and they are. You put the decimal first if you like, right underneath where it was. If you don't like, make believe you don't see it yet. 7 plus 4 is 11. Carry the 1 to the next column of numbers. Those 3 numbers add up to 11 again. Carry over the 1 to the next column of numbers. These numbers add up to 18. Carry the 1 over to the next set of numbers. The next column is decimals. I put it down. Add the next column of numbers. And then add the final column of numbers and say that wasn't so bad. They just have to line up the decimals. If you were asked to add 78.12 to 192.9931, you're asked to add these numbers. You have to line up the decimals. They're not lined up. Well, line them up. 1 decimal there, 1 decimal there. To the left of the decimal goes 78. To the right of the decimal goes 12. To the left of the decimal goes 192. To the right, 9931. But for example, when you write down the 192 to the left of the decimal, you just can't say, oh, that's easy. 192. No. Those are the ones. Those are the ones. They have to be underneath one another. Likewise, it's going to be suicidal if you write it like this, 192. And to the left of the decimal, what are you adding first? I mean, the 2 is under the 7 and the 8. You add it to both of them, 1 column, 1 number. it's going to help you to put lines down. It's going to help you put lines down. One number, one digit, one digit, one digit, one digit, 1, 9, 2. That way you won't get something silly like that, where the 2 is in more than one position. That just won't happen. Don't be sloppy. Don't be sloppy. You have a really good chance of getting it wrong. Okay, you add up. This column of numbers is 3. This column of numbers is 11, carry the 1. This column of number is 11, carry the 1. Bring down the decimal. This column of number, again, is 11, carry the 1. That column of numbers is 17, carry the 1. That column number is 2. 271.113 is the answer. Line up not only the decimals, but the digits. Okay. One more addition. Suppose you had 22.131 and you wanted to add 444.81. The decimal of a number should not go in the middle. It should go down here. I've been messing up a little bit because I've been writing the decimal first. But no excuse, it's wrong. This column of numbers is 1. This column of numbers is 4. This column is 9. Decimal. Add 6. Add that column 6. Add this column 4. Your problem's over. Line up the decimals. Add the column of numbers. That's not part of it. Okay, now, what if you want to subtract? Suppose you have 27.134 and you would very much like to take away 14.42. Basically, put the decimal down and just ignore the decimal. Just like we did in addition. Line them up first and then ignore it. The only thing is that there's an understood 0 if you need to have one. That is 4 minus a blank space has no meaning. 4 minus 0 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 take away 4 you can't do, so you borrow. Make that 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. And there's the answer. 12.714. Next problem. Line up the decimals and then ignore it. Subtract like always. If there's no digit in the second number, put a 0 down. You got 2.3 and you want to take away 1.4258. You need to insert some zeros. Both numbers should end in the same place. And if they don't, add 0 so they do. Okay, 0 minus 8 you can't do. So again, imagine you're asked to do 2,300, take away 123,000, take away 14,258. It is ignore the decimal. It is make this a 3, make that a 10, borrow from the 10 so it's 9, make that a 10, borrow from that 10, make it a 9, and finally you have 10 there. And 10 minus 2 you can do. 9 minus 5 you can do. It's 4, excuse me. 9 minus 2 is 7. 2 minus 4 you can't do. So you have to borrow. Make that a 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. Now, personally, I like to write the answer like this and be done. 0.8742. I guess so, it's clear that there's a decimal. People like to put a 0 in front. After all, 1 minus 1 is 0. But either write that or 0.8742 is correct. Unless your teacher makes a big deal and outright says, this will be marked wrong. You have to put the 0. In that case, well, I've been overruled. Your teacher's wrong in the sense that the two numbers are not equal, but if your teacher wants you to follow a certain style, then you should follow it. You need to put the 0 in. Let's try another one. Suppose you have 382.72457 and you want to take away 11.6428. Okay, there's an understood 0 there. So now they both end in the same place. 7 minus 0 is 7. Next column, 5 minus 8 you can't do. So you borrow. By the way, here's the decimal. You make that a 15. 15 take away 8, I think, is 7. 3 take away 2 is 1. 2 take away 4 you can't do, so you borrow. 12 take away 4 is 8. 6 minus 6 is 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. 8 minus 1 is 7. 3. There's the answer. Subtraction. Let's do one more. 72.3. You would like to take away 14.825. Well, you add a couple of zeros, then both numbers end in the same position. Okay, unfortunately, you can't do 0 minus 5, though. So you borrow. There's nothing to borrow from this position. So you borrow from the one in front, make that a 10. Now you can borrow from this position here. You have 10. You borrow 1, you have 9. You add 10 to the next column. 0 plus 10 is 10. Okay, now we have enough to take away 5, and we have 5 left. 9 minus 2 is 7. There's the decimal. You can't do 2 minus 8, so you borrow. 12 minus 8 you can do. Then, decimal. Then you can't do 1 minus 4, so you borrow. It's now 11 minus 4, which is 7. 11 minus 4. And then 6 minus 1 is 5. So there's the answer. 57.475. That finishes the section on adding and subtracting decimal numbers.